What do you mean he's got dissociative identity disorder?
I've been explaining it for the past 15 minutes. If you weren't following me, why didn't you say something before?
Oh no, I'm following, fine. It just seemed like a convenient time to summarise everything in a few short sentences. Know what I mean?
Well, Kyle is suffering from a rare psychological disorder, characterized by the presence of two distinct personalities. Kyle's own personality has been subjugated by his Purple Patriot alter ego. The Kyle persona is still present, and at moments of extreme relaxation, he does revert to it. However, the Purple Patriot persona remains dominant and returns whenever he gets excited, scared, or anxious.
So he's 2 drachmas short of €1 then?
He's actually very lucid, and when the Kyle persona takes control, he has all of the personality traits and all of the memories of Kyle. It will be exactly like talking to your friend. When the Purple Patriot persona is dominant, he believes that Kyle does not exist and is merely a secret identity he has created in order to prevent his superhero identity being discovered.
Have you tried pointing out that anyone who was inventing a secret identity would come up with an alter ego with a job and fashion sense?
Unfortunately, DID patients are typically immune to reason.
A bit like Tea Party supporters. Got it. So what kind of treatment regime is available for Kyle?
Unfortunately, there's very little consensus on treatment for DID. There are a range of different psychotherapy options available, but recovery can be a long and complicated process.
We're missing a trick here, aren't we?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I'm not a medical man, but I've watched enough TV to know that all we have to do is just hit him on the head again and his memory will come back. What?
Kyle's psychological breakdown wasn't actually caused by the repeated head injuries.
It must have been. I saw this trope coming a mile away.
Kyle's skull is incredibly thick and amazingly resilient. Despite all of the head impacts, his brain didn't receive any physical trauma whatsoever.
Well, what happened to him then?
Well, we think it might have been all the painkillers I gave him every time he banged his head. Turns out they had some side effects we didn't know about.
Well, that's charming, innit? Not content with trying to have him bumped off every time he bumped his head, now you've given him multiple personalities. Anything else you'd like to do to him while you've got him in the hospital? Perhaps a quick sex change operation. Although, come to think of it, if he had breasts, he'd never leave the apartment.
Naturally, the studio are extremely distressed at the undesirable and completely unpredictable consequences of taking those painkillers.
The studio? What's the studio got to do with any of this?
I'm contracted by the studio. As such, they are offering a substantial amount of compensation to help Kyle's rehabilitation and recovery.
How substantial?
$10 million.
Oh, well that's not too... How much?
Of course, he would have to sign a waiver indicating that he doesn't hold the studio responsible for any lapses in our usual standards of medical care he may have experienced during his visit.
Yeah, well, that's no problem. We all make mistakes, don't we? Where do I have to sign?
The production company has offices in Chelsea. They'll take care of all the paperwork for you.
How's Kyle doing?
Physically, he's very well. In fact, he's kind of a lot better than normal.
Not sure I follow, love.
Well, his psychological condition appears to have manifested itself through some kind of faith-based physical augmentation.
I like to think I'm an intelligent chap, but you might have to dumb that down a little bit. Imagine you're talking to Kyle. Well, not quite that dumb, somewhere in between.
When his Purple Patriot persona is ascendant, he believes he has superpowers. He believes that he has super strength, that he can fly, and that he has an uncanny ability to look good in spandex.
Yeah, so we have to be careful he doesn't do anything stupid like try to stop a speeding juggernaut or jump off a high building.
Well, actually, no. He really is exhibiting those powers.
Did you just tell me that Kyle can fly? Have you been sucking on a broken biro?
It's quite unusual, I'll admit, but it seems that his sense of self-belief is so strong that his body's actually responding.
So technically, Kyle is now a superhero.
I suppose technically that's true, but...
So in that case, your grounds for holding him have gone. You can't claim he's delusional if he really has the powers he thinks he has.
We're working on the assumption that his superpowers are just the physical manifestation of his psychological condition.
So basically, you're manipulating the diagnosis to keep hold of him as long as possible.
What a strange thing to suggest.
Is he still raving that immigrants, homosexuals and women are destroying America?
We've managed to calm him down a little.
You mean you've pumped him full of horse tranquilizers, don't you?
Of course not. That would be unethical. And horse tranquilizers are not even authorized for use on humans. How dare you?
Alright, sorry.
Although, when you visit him, you may want to take along a pocket full of sugar cubes. He loves them.
So, has the calming stopped him from raving like a madman?
Not entirely. He still insists on calling me either Toots or Dollface. And I won't even begin to tell you what he calls Dr. Sangupta.
I do apologise for him. He's not normally like that at all. He's a very tolerant person when he's Kyle, even if only because he's too lazy to be intolerant.
It may be a side effect of the psychosis. He believes the Purple Patriot feels a huge sense of patriotism. That patriotism may be driving him to have these negative emotions.
Can I visit him? They let me stay with him for a couple of hours when we was taken to the hospital, but after that they gave me the bum's rush.
I'm sorry, we don't permit visitors during the initial evaluation phase. It interferes with the patient's recovery.
How long does the evaluation phase last?
Depends how much insurance he's got.
Unless it was ever given away as part of the Happy Meal, I'd wager he has none whatsoever.
In this case, the studio is picking up the bill. They have a lot of insurance.
You're really milking this for all it's worth, aren't you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I'm sure you have lots to do. Patients won't just kill themselves.
I should get back to the hospital. We've scheduled Kyle for a series of x-rays this afternoon.
And these x-rays might give some indication of the nature of his condition, might they?
I guess they might. We just got a new x-ray machine. It's a shame not to use it, especially when the studio's picking up the tab.
It's no wonder everyone's going to Cuba to get medical treatment these days. There's less corruption over there. I suppose there's no alternative. What the hell are you doing out there?
If I break the window, old chum, I fear we would lose our security deposit.
How exactly are we going to do this?
Very carefully, if I get any say in the matter.
Alright, well hold on tight because it rotates.
I know that. Get on with it already.
I thought you were still in the hospital.
I sneaked out while Nurse Julie was doing her rounds.
Didn't anyone notice the empty bed?
I'd left a neat little pile under the sheets.
Good idea. You might not have time to go later.
We should really start planning our next move, Melvin.
That's easy. Go to the studio, collect your check, and start living on Easy Street.
My check? What check?
Didn't Nurse Julie tell you? The studio are offering you $10 million in compensation for your accidents. We can buy a nice penthouse apartment in Columbus Circle, and spend all day watching Mexican soap operas and eating pretzels in our underpants.
Isn't that pretty much what we do now?
Yeah, but now we'll be able to afford Auntie Anne's pretzels.
Sorry, old friend, but I can't retire while crime stalks the streets of New York.
We'll still have plenty of money. We can donate to worthy charities like domestic abuse, animal welfare, and the campaign to create a new ending for Mass Effect 3. We'll still have our principles, we just won't have to get off our asses to do anything about them.
I'm sorry, Melvin. My mind is made up. We're going to use that money to fight crime.
Couldn't we use it to fight something less prevalent, like common sense?
Jammy Dodger?
Yeah.
Retract fully when bathing. I need help, old chum.
You know I'm not a qualified psychotherapist, right? Alright, what do you need?
I'm having a spot of bother identifying the key elements of establishing us as a crack team of superheroes, old chum.
Well, it was your idea.
I know, but I'm more of a concepts guy. I prefer to leave the implementation to people more suited to the task.
In other words, you come up with the harebrained ideas and some other mug, presumably me, has to figure out the details.
I'm delighted we're on the same wavelength, old friend.
Yes, we'll tune your dial back a bit there, Dr. Laura. I don't mind helping you organise this, but I'm not doing all the work. You tell me what you think a superhero team needs, and I'll organise it into some kind of plan.
Good enough. Thanks, faithful assistant. I don't think I need any further assistance, old friend.
I'm glad to hear it. Helping you can be very tiring.
We should really start planning our next move, Melvin. I'm going to need money to establish us as a genuine team of superheroes.
Don't look at me, I'm Brassic.
Then you should get a job and earn your way in society. That's the American way.
Illegal immigrant, remember?
Ah, yes. Normally I'd be vehemently opposed to such a thing.
Well, you are a Republican.
But I'll make an exception for you, since you're my friend, and you paid my share of the rent this month.
Well, you are a Republican.
I need a secret identity.
You've already got a real identity. You're Kyle Keever, and you're a janitor at the 125th Precinct.
Perfect!
What? Aren't you superheroes usually journalists, scientists, or creepy billionaires in your spare time? I don't think sweeping floors and washing windows is going to be very helpful in your war on crime.
Are you kidding? Police janitor is like the perfect alter ego for a superhero. Inside information on major crimes, you can look up criminals in the FBI database, you even get advance notice if the police are closing in on your secret identity. Some of the world's greatest superheroes have been police janitors.
Name one that isn't Hong Kong Phooey.
Shut up! I'm going to need a license.
Why? Are you going breakdancing in Central Park again?
No, I'm serious. To be a superhero in New York, you have to have a license.
Really? Well, those are probably issued by NYPD. Ask Sam if she can help you.
Lieutenant Griffith from work? I'd have to make sure she didn't recognize me in my costume.
Your own grandmother wouldn't recognise you in that get-up.
My grandmother never recognizes me. She has cataracts.
That's not why she doesn't recognise you.